Hello! Today we'll be talking about Winston. We will be going over all of the mechanical skills that you need to know to play Winston at a high level. Now, a lot of people really underrate the mechanical ability required to play Winston at a high level. You know, you've heard the saying, no aim, no brain, I'm a Winston main. Kind of a ripoff from TF2 Pyro, but I'll digress. No, but really, a good Winston is able to leverage his kit mechanically to be much more effective than your average Winston. And we'll be going over all of the things that you need to know, both to practice and to do a lot of these little mechanical tricks that can really have a positive impact on your Winston play. We'll start by going over his Tesla Cannon. It does 60 DPS, it uses 20 ammo a second, and each ammo that it uses does a tick of 3 damage. So you have 20 ticks of 3 damage per second for 60 DPS. Fairly simple. His clip is 100, so that means he has a 5-second uptime that he can be firing. This gives the potential of a loaded Winston clip. It makes it 300 damage. Now Winston's Tesla Cannon has a 1.5 second reload time. This syncs up pretty nicely with the time it takes him to jump. So a good rhythm to get into with Winston is to jump in, use the entirety of your Tesla Cannon, then jump up in the air, reload, and then you can fall back down, do your melee jump pack damage, and then you'll have a full clip. Now, first technique with Winston is what I call melee weaving. This is where you hold down primary fire, and also add melees in while you're attacking somebody. This has a few benefits. For one, melee does 30 damage, but it only stops you from firing for half of a second. So this means that you can do a 30 damage instance of melee, and then for the next half of a second you'll be doing 30 damage with this Tesla Cannon. This effectively keeps your DPS right at 60. So what you're doing when melee weaving is you are maintaining the exact same DPS against unarmored targets, while also effectively doubling the potential of your clip uptime. So that means you will have more ammo, and you'll have less of those times where somebody gets away because you had to reload. Now it's important to note that Winston's Tesla Cannon does 30 DPS versus armor. It goes from 60 to 30, it's halved, because armor will reduce any incoming tick of damage by 50%, capping that reduction at 5. For example, a shot from Soldier's Rifle will do 19 damage to an unarmored target, assuming there's no falloff. But against an unarmored target, that 19 damage is reduced to 14 damage. Because, again, the damage reduction that armor provides is capped at 5 damage. So, what this does is, if you melee weave while you're fighting against armor, your DPS will actually increase from 30 to 40, because since melee is a single tick of 30 damage, rather than being a lot of ticks of small amounts of damage that add up to 30, the percentage reduction that it gets reduced when it's applied to armor is significantly less than his Tesla Cannon. Another technique with melee to use as Winston is what I call the melee finisher, and that is when your enemies drop below 30 health, you should instantly melee to finish them off right away. Now, while it's true over the course of time, this doesn't spike your DPS. Like if we're going to look over like the course of a minute, it doesn't change your DPS. That damage when you melee, when the target's at low health, it applies instantly, resulting in an instant kill on the target, rather than making you take another half second of shooting with your Tesla Cannon to kill them. This is especially useful when applied to targets that have Mercy's heal on them, since Winston's Tesla Cannon does 60 DPS, and Mercy also heals for 60 heals per second. So if there's a low health target, you will never be able to kill them with your Tesla Cannon if they're being healed by Mercy. But if they're low enough, you can instantly finish them off with melee, and completely mitigate any healing that Mercy is doing onto them. Now, onto Winston's Leap. Proper use of Winston's jump pack is really one of the biggest separators between a good and a bad Winston player. If you use it properly, jump pack can allow you to land a direct 45 damage onto a target, and if you use a melee cancellation, it kind of boosts that up to 75 damage. This is effectively removing just over a second of time that you would have to shoot at your target with Tesla Cannon. And in Overwatch, a game that's so fast-paced, a second or two, it really counts, it really matters. It's often, more often than not, the difference between getting a kill on a target and them getting away. So Winston's Leap does 45 damage, falling off with distance the farther away you are from dead center on top of them when you land. Now, one of the most important techniques with Winston is what's called the melee cancel. And to perform the melee cancel, you use your quick melee right before your jump pack lands, and the damage is instantly applied, but as soon as you land, you're able to start shooting immediately. There's no cooldown because the landing of Leap resets melee's kind of cooldown on your gun. Now, landing the jump pack damage with melee cancel, it decreases the time to kill on a 200 health target from about 3.3 seconds down to about 2.08 seconds. And if you also melee as soon as the target is down to 30 health, your time to kill on a 200 health target, it drops from 3.33 seconds down to about 1.6 seconds. So you can effectively half the time it takes you to kill a target by landing your jump pack melee combo and then using a melee finisher. Winston doesn't really aim with his mouse with his Tesla cannon. There's a bit of tracking, but there's not that much there. Winston aims himself with Leap. And the difference between landing this combo and the melee finisher and just standing next to somebody and shooting Tesla cannon at them is huge. I cannot overstate how important this is to learn if you want to play Winston at a high level. To practice this, there is my friend Speakeasy and I made what we call the Winston Challenge. It is a great way to practice all of your mechanical skills with Winston. It really trains jump accuracy, it trains the timing with the melee cancel, it trains using your bubble and for cover because you have to mitigate the damage of incoming bots. It trains your ult usage and short jump and vertical jump and all of these important things that you need to know with Winston. I put a link to it in the description. I highly recommend you check it out. This is something that's helped me at my level of Winston play, just further refine my mechanics, and I think it'll be fun for all of you and helpful, so give that a look. Now, there are two types of jumps that you need to know to play Winston proficiently. The first of these is the short jump. By moving backwards at the time that you activate your jump pack, you can effectively half the distance that you jump when you use his jump pack. This allows you to chase down that target that's just barely out of reach, and it allows you to stay in the middle of the enemy team when you use your ult. A problem that a lot of Winston players have when they use their Primal Rage is they will be jumping past enemies that they want to hit constantly. So use short jump in those situations. Use it to make sure that you land your jump pack damage and your swings. The second important jump to use with Winston is what's called the vertical jump. You flick your cursor straight up in the air, and depending on if you want a little forward momentum or a little backward momentum, you either just jump normally or you move backwards a little bit at the time that you jump. This allows you to jump straight in the air, make yourself harder to hit. It allows you to kind of acquire a new target to fall on. It gives you a really good time, a little window to reload if you're trying to stay in the fight rather than trying to get away. And it allows you to jump up onto high ground that's almost directly above you, and you can kind of mitigate the forward momentum that Winston's jump pack applies to your character when you use it. Practicing short jump and vertical jump is crucial to proper Winston play, and I highly recommend that you become familiar with both of them. Now, let's move on to Winston's bubble. This may be a surprise to a lot of people, but Winston's bubble only has 600 health compared to like the 2000 health of a Reinhardt's barrier, like the 900 health and sustain of an Orisa barrier. Winston's bubble really kind of counts on people not shooting at it, or it not being focused. Winston's bubble only lasts for 5 seconds. Now this ties in perfectly with his jump pack. You use your jump pack, you land in, you use your bubble, and then right at the time where your bubble would disappear, you have your jump pack to get out. It provides a nice rhythm. Now Winston's bubble is at a 13-second cooldown and is Winston's primary method of mitigating incoming fire when he goes to initiate or jump on enemies. Now, an important thing to know with Winston's bubble is that at the time that you activate it, it falls straight down, completely ignoring Newton's first law of motion. If you're in flight with your jump pack and you use bubble, an ordinary object in the real world would continue to move with you and land roughly the same place where you land. But Winston's bubble in Overwatch roots itself and falls straight down instantly when you use it. This can be used, for example, if there's a D.Va bomb on a point, you can jump over the D.Va bomb, use your bubble right as you pass over it, and then you've effectively blocked off the entire D.Va bomb while keeping yourself outside of the inside of your bubble. You can also use this to jump and intercept a D.Va bomb in the air. I've done it a few times in ranked matches, and I don't have it recorded to show you, but I promise you I felt like a god every single time I did. Now, about Winston's ult. I firmly believe that Primal Rage is one of the most underrated ultimates in the game. It instantly brings you to 900 health and 100 armor, regardless of what health you were at when you activate it. It applies instantly and can be used to really bail you out of a lot of situations. As far as his damage, Winston's swings in his ult form do 40 damage per swing, and you swing about every 1.6 seconds. Now, if you hit every single swing with Winston's ult, Winston does about 63 DPS when ulting. And since hitting enemies with Primal Rage knocks them back, which is a good thing in a lot of situations, your effective DPS on targets out in the open is lower than if you were just using your Tesla cannon. What this means is that if you get nano boosted, you should try to avoid using your ult if at all possible, since you'll be doing just as much if not more damage with your kind of normal mode than you will with your Primal Rage. A neat little trick with Primal Rage is that using it will instantly reset the cooldown on your jump, both when the ult starts and when the ult ends. You can also gain and maintain height while using Primal Rage. This can be useful if you fall off the map and are trying to get back up onto a ledge, or if you're trying to use your ult to chase a Pharah. If you aim your jumps properly, you will actually be able to stay in the air with Winston's ult. Now, the last thing with Winston is his hitbox. Since Winston kind of walks with his right fist, he kind of hunches over, right? So his headshot hitbox is effectively placed at the front of his character model rather than at the very top like most heroes in the game. This means that if a Widowmaker's shooting at you, you can block her ability to headshot you by turning your back to her. So, if you find yourself pinned down by a Widowmaker or facing a McCree that's outside of your Tesla cannon range, or pressured by a hitscan or any character that can headshot, just remember that you can mitigate their ability to do those spikes of damage that are really deadly to Winston by simply turning around. It's not always useful, but it can save your life sometimes, so keep it in mind. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope it's been helpful. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I still am extremely new to this and have no idea what I'm doing, so any feedback is very welcome. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.